Good evening, everyone. January 27, 2025, 7 p.m. At the Board of Selectmen meeting. As a customer, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
7 p.m. We do have a few very exciting pinnings. Chief,
Good evening.
good evening.
Good evening, members of the board. Good to see everyone in. Happy New Year. We haven't seen everybody in a while. Members of the audience, thank you for coming tonight. Again, we like to follow through with our tradition. And during December, we had 2 promotions, but unfortunately with the board, the new year, everything like that, we just couldn't pull it together. So we're going to do it now. So what we'd like to do tonight, in keeping with tradition, is have Jay Lacasse come up. A little bit about Jay. Jay was appointed to the Bellingham Fire Department in May of 2019. Jay holds a bachelor's in physical education. He was a phys ed teacher prior to coming to the fire department. We won't hold that against him. Jay was promoted to lieutenant in December of 2022. Jay is also a hometown boy. Mom and dad still live here. Jay was born and raised here, which is awesome. This time, Kim, are you still doing the pinning? Yeah. I'd like to invite his wife, Kim, and I'm not sure if his 2 sons, Brooks and Knox, want to come up as well, but yeah, come on up. Come on, guys. All right, easier. Come on.
We were asleep in the car about
I'm sorry.
no promises. Hopefully, we don't have to point them.
Always good when the family gets involved. Next, I'd like to bring up Adam Carlson. Adam is being pinned and promoted tonight as well to the rank of lieutenant. Adam was appointed to the Bellingham Fire Department in September of 2022, promoted to lieutenant in December of 25 as well. I'm sorry, 24 as well. Adam is a graduate of Tri-County Regional Vocational Technical High School, where he majored in electrical, correct? And he's also worked with his dad for many years, doing electrical service. Again, we will not hold that against you. We understand the bearing of that. Adam started his career not with Bellingham Fire, but he actually started with Norfolk Fire as a call firefighter. And we were very fortunate to steal Adam away from Norfolk. And for us, it's been a great addition. So at this time, I would like to invite Caitlin Bowles up, who's going to be doing the pinning for Adam. Be nice. Another quick little thing while Adam's being pinned is really neat. We talked about it last time when when Captain Lister was promoted and Lieutenant Logan, we talked about how they were firefighters together under now Deputy Chief Provost. Captain Quacha was the shift captain of Group 4. Jay was lieutenant of Group 4 down at Station 1, and Adam was a firefighter. So Brad has gone to days as the training captain. Jay has moved up to the captain of Group 4, and Adam has now moved up to lieutenant of Group 4. So the progression is really kind of neat to see. Very proud of both of you, proud of the organization. Again, thank you very much. I'm not sorry, Adam and Jay, can you go back up, please?
swear you in your new ranks, and then you're gonna sign the book. So Jake, I'll take you first. Congratulations on being the rank of captain. I'll take you again. Do you solemnly swear that in your new role as captain, you will continue to perform your duties as a firefighter for the town of Bellingham, that you will not betray the integrity or the character of the department or the trust of the residents of Bellingham, that you will treat all residents with dignity and respect, and ensure that your actions are dedicated to ensuring the safety of the Bellingham community and the preservation of human life, that you always hold yourself and others accountable for their actions, maintain the highest ethical standards, uphold the values of the department in the town of Bellingham, and that your actions will be bound by the charter and bylaws of Bellingham and the constitutions of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the United States. Congratulations. Awesome. Congratulations on attaining the rank of lieutenant. Do you solemnly swear that in your new role as lieutenant, you will continue to perform your duties as a firefighter for the town of Bellingham, that you will not betray the integrity or the character of the department or the trust of the residents of Bellingham, that you will treat all residents with dignity and respect, and ensure that your actions are dedicated to ensuring the safety of the Bellingham community and the preservation of human life, that you will always hold yourself and others accountable for their actions, maintain the highest ethical standards, uphold the values of the department and the town of Bellingham, and that your actions will be bound by the charter and bylaws of Bellingham and the constitutions of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the United States of America.
I do.
Congratulations.
Members of the board, thank you. Members, family in the audience, thank you as well, and all the members of Bellingham Fire.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Just ask I guess we can wait for new business, but we've had a lot of new hires and promotions within these departments. And I don't know, but it'd be great if we had sort of like a webpage or booklet to know who all of our first responders are in the town. Make sure there's so many, it would be great, their ranks and, not personal information, but just be great to know who they are. So I don't know if we can get that on, if we can, I just would love it, I'm sure the whole board would love a copy, but I would love to have a copy of something along those lines. So maybe we can have someone help us
Maybe
with the, maybe the new HR director.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
we're already putting you to.
Thanks, I'm sorry,
No, it's
but I
okay.
just think it'd be great to have it.
Chief, it's,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. Martinez was asking, if we can have the updated,
Roster of the members?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And photographs if we could get, because,
Photographs we're working on, that's
Okay.
something we need to do better, and we are talking about it,
Yeah.
but the roster list with, absolutely.
that'd be great,
Yeah.
we just would, great for us to have this for first response, because
Yeah.
it's changing. There's a lot of great promotions going on, and you see them around town, I'd like to be able to say hi by their name.
I'll get that to Hillary tomorrow morning.
Thanks.
Thank you
Same
very
with-
much.
same
All
with-
right, thank you.
With
With
the
the police
Police.
chief too.
Well,
That would be
Yeah.
really nice if we could have that from you too, chief.
A
The
roster,
names, a roster.
our
so we
rosters,
still-
our full rosters on our website, but we can.
Oh,
print it
okay,
out.
good.
Okay, it's there, that's great.
Terrific.
There you go. It's
Okay.
perfect. Thank you very much. So the next one, 7 o'clock citizens input, we move on that, and next one is a town administrator appointment of human resource director. And, Dennis?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
we can,
you
Dennis.
Okay, great, great. It seems like such a short time ago. We had tragedy and Beth Cornell Smith, our human resources director, passed away, and we miss Beth very much. And since her passing, it's left obviously a big void. Beth handled a lot of responsibilities and a lot of duties, and Melissa Paquette's been doing a great job keeping the office up with support from the departments, and we certainly appreciate that. Over the last 2 months, we've been working hard to identify someone that could step into that role. And I'm confident that we have found that person. I was in Bellingham 2 weeks ago, and I had the opportunity to interview Caroline LaCroix along with Heidi. Heidi and I interviewed Carolyn, and she came in on a Saturday, and we just had a great couple hours together. Caroline has over 20 years of municipal experience, much of which is in human resources, doing exactly the types of things that we need and that office does. Everything from benefit administration to contract management with the multiple unions that we have supporting the school system. As you know, we work collaboratively with the school business office on new hires, and so there's a lot going on in that office. Caroline has a master's degree in public administration. She's worked in multiple offices in municipal government, primarily in the aspects of human resources. I know you have a copy of her resume. She's done wonderful work. I know 2 managers personally that have worked with her, as well as 2 labor councils who have worked with her, and they were just effusive in their praise and confidence in her to do the job. And she wants to be here for all the right reasons. And I think she'll be a tremendous addition to the community. One of the things I talked to Carolyn about is oftentimes human resources directors work closely with the town administrator. They work on negotiations, benefit administration with the various health insurance programs, as well as our municipal liability. And oftentimes human resources directors are assistants town administrators. And one of the things we've talked about a long time is the fact that Bellingham doesn't have an assistant, and it had a lot to do with me. I just I enjoyed doing what I was doing, and didn't really want an assistant. But I think it's become glaringly obvious that we need to have someone in that role. It would come at no additional cost. Caroline's salary is well within the human resources director's budget, and it's something Caroline would love to do, and I think she'd be a perfect fit for it. When you think of other departments, everybody has a second in command, whether it's fire, police, DPW, high school principals. It's important for someone to be there, and I think it became glaringly obvious a year and a half ago when I got sick, and other times as well, not like where we are right now. But she could also be of great help in recruiting our next town administrator, which I know is something that we want to get cracking on again as well. So I offer you that appointment, and I request your ratification. I know Caroline's in the office, in the meeting room, along with Heidi. You interviewed her along with me.
Caroline, would you like to add anything? I know we had a great conversation. You made some.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the Town of Bellingham Select Board. My name is Caroline LaCroix. I'm a resident of Middleborough. I have a tremendous amount of experience in local government, serving in the towns of Groton, Connecticut, the town of Weymouth, Massachusetts, Middleborough, Massachusetts, and Marshfield, Massachusetts. I have experience in management and administration, personnel, labor relations, procurement, contract management, constituent services, and all gamuts of insurances and contracts. I think that the opportunity to come and work for the town of Bellingham, work in as the Director of Human Resources, and work as an assistant to the town administrator is a career advancement and something that I'm greatly looking forward to. I had the opportunity to drive around on Saturday with my husband, and I was just astounded by the amount of growth that you've had, but the amount of woodland that you have, and that there's so many pockets where it's just so beautiful, where you just look out and you see woods, and then there's a combination of houses and buildings and structures, and I just like the way that it's been planned and developed, it's kept its quaintness, but I see the things that would interest someone from moving to a community like this. So, and I love the buildings that I saw. I only didn't go inside any of them, but I was very, very impressed with the number of municipal facilities that I saw and just how lovely they were. So it is my honor to accept this appointment, and I very much look forward to this. And I'm, like everyone, it's a very difficult move for me. I've given over 18 years of service to the town of Weymouth. I'm very attached to that organization, but I look forward to this very much. And thank you for your consideration of my appointment.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Thank you. I don't have any other questions at the moment. Mrs. Altman, do you have any questions?
No, I had a chance to read your resume, and there was so many wonderful things that stuck out, like a lot of community liaisons and involvement. And I know this is not a short drive for you, so it's still about a 45-minute drive for you, right? And it works within your kind of your scheme of daily living, right? The balance of life and play, right? So, but there was a lot of great things that jumped off the resume for me, and I was very excited to meet you in person tonight.
Mr. Sebastian?
I'm gonna echo what Jen said. I mean, your resume speaks for itself. I mean, I think you're gonna be a tremendous asset for us here in Bellingham. And I think putting the two positions together is something we should do. This is the time to do it. And I think you're the perfect candidate to do it because you've been able to do both things. And so I'm excited. I'm very excited to have you here.
Mr. Martinez?
Charlie, we had the pleasure of speaking over the weekend, and it was, well, last Friday evening, and was very impressed. I mean, read the resume, Dennis and Heidi, I trust them implicitly. I'm really looking forward to having you here. I mean, as we talked about, Beth's shoes are very big shoes to fill, but I feel very confident, just from our discussion, that you're going to do a great job, and I'm really looking forward to it, getting to know you and having me become part of the Bellingham community as an employee. I'm not saying you need to move here, I'm just saying as part of an employee community, not moving here, but I'm really looking forward to it. And really, Middleborough's not that bad. I mean, I drive to Plymouth on Fridays, and I'm at the 44, I'm sitting about 35 minutes from my house, and I live a mile and a half away. So, you know, you're going the opposite of the traffic. So I think it might be probably better than 24 and trying to get to Weymouth on that. So, yeah, that's great. We're just happy to have you here.
And if it doesn't have anybody of questions, and
I'll make a motion.
please.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the appointment of Carolyn LaCroix to the position of Human Resource Director / Assistant Town Administrator.
Second. We got first, we got second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. That was great, and the next one is on our agenda, 7:15. I know we're doing this behind, Fire Department 2024 overview. Chief?
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
And then we got
Deputy
Deputy,
Chief.
Deputy Chief.
How is everybody?
Good, good.
Great.
How you doing?
All right.
Floor is yours.
You guys can see that right now.
Yeah,
You have copies too.
yeah.
We have copies.
You might want to share it for the.
That's what I was trying to do, yeah.
Not open?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Here. Here we go. Okay, so just want to take a few minutes tonight. If you want to run that, Deb and I would like to do this, keep the board in the loop, and we've always done that in the last year and a half. We want to continue to just give you kind of an overview of where we're at, how our year was last year, and you know, what our projections and where we're looking at going hopefully in the future. So again, this is what we're calling our 2024 review. I'd like to start off by recognizing two members. Deputy Milo retired after 27 years, and Captain Dudrin retired after 25 years. Both members gave a lot to the community. were staples of the community as well too. So, it was, those were very difficult, retirements for us as an organization. On the positive side, the gentleman sitting next to me again went from captain, to deputy fire chief. Brad Quatcher was a captain of Group 4. He's now the captain of training on days. Mark Lister was a lieutenant on Group 4 under deputy provost. He's now captain, Group 2. He's now captain of Group 2. Lieutenant Lacasse is now captain of Group 4. Firefighter Logan went to lieutenant of Group 2, and firefighter Carlson went to lieutenant of Group 4 as well. So we've had some great promotions, and those were all movement due to Deputy Milo and Captain Donovan retiring. That's all that movement, and Deputy Provost moving up as well. We had a great AFG year. We were part of a regional SCBA grant, just under $750,000. We were able to, our portion of that, when all said and done, was, I think, $26,000 was the match piece for Bellingham. We figured we saved about $240,000 by winning that grant. So we're very pleased with that. Our new SCBAs are in service. They have caught some work, and the members are wearing them. So we've done very well with those. Well, we received a DFS grant for $19,000. Again, those are for bailout kits. It's life safety equipment, and an emergency preparedness grant for $4,900. We did started upgrading our meters, which are also at end of life. So we're using some grant money to try to get the meters up where they need to
Chief,
be.
may I ask you a
Sure.
favor, please?
Yeah.
So for the folks that are listening, including myself,
Yeah.
the acronyms.
Oh, absolutely.
They don't mean a lot to maybe the community that's listening. Maybe you could explain what they
Absolutely.
mean.
So right back up to the top. So AFG is Assistance to Firefighters Grant. It's a federal grant.
Okay.
It's very competitive. It's very difficult to win. We did it regionally with the town of Foxborough. We just applied for another one as well for a training trailer that hasn't been released yet. We don't know where those stand. The DFS is Department of Fire Services. Every year, the Department of Fire Services offers grants based on dollar amount of your population size. And what that does is it allows us to buy safety equipment that we might not be able to afford, or to help alleviate of us asking for additional funding within our budget. And the EMPG is Emergency Management Preparedness Grant. That's done through MEMA/FEMA as well. And again, those dollar amounts are based on the population for Bellingham.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for reminding me. We kind of get used to those.
When we're in the business, you know the lingo, right?
Exactly. All right, new additions. This one here was a big one, and I'm going to recognize the gentleman sitting behind me as well. Michael, thank you very much for the support on this over the years. Last year, the 6 non-suppression paramedics, phenomenal. All 6 are on board now. We were fully up and running at the end of September of 24. Again, I can't say thank you to the board enough, the support and the conversations. I know we have a couple of new members, but the previous board was phenomenal. Thank you. Excellent. And I will say right now, they're worth their weight in gold. We've had some incidences right up even to this afternoon. We had a reported house fire this afternoon. The ambulance was out, so we didn't lose any fire suppression at that point there. We were able to keep 2 3-person staff fire engines, which is important. We still don't meet the minimum requirements, but we're definitely climbing towards it. In the old model, at that point there, we would have had 1 fire engine responding to reported house fire, because we just would have lost the staffing. So the non-suppression medics are doing phenomenal. Deputy Provost went in on a call this weekend. They had a great save from a cardiac arrest with a resident. The resident was in full cardiac arrest upon their arrival, and before they left the house, the resident was talking to them. I can go on for another half hour, just accolades with that. That is one of the better programs we've incorporated, and something, the model we should be watching for the future. The new engine 3 was placed in service. That's running out of South, which would be Station 1. Engine 4 is ordered and well under production. Ladder 1 is insurance replacement from the tower accident that also has been ordered and well into production. That both pieces, hopefully, knock on wood, should be done sometime in February. We just have a lot of final inspections and mounting of equipment, so we're definitely moving in the right direction. The new ambulance is ordered. I don't have this exciting news on that. We got notified the other day, we're still 2 years out. So that's something we need to look at, and we'll talk further down the road. The new portable radios are ordered. That was huge. That was another capital project that got us our ancient 13-year-old portables. Those are going to be updated. The feasibility study, Dawn, I know you're our liaison for the board. We're well underway with that. We should be having a group meeting shortly. We're still, they're still collecting data from the deputy and myself at this point. Thanks to the board again, a couple of weeks ago, the new LifePak 35 cardiac monitors and the 1,000 AEDs. We partnered with the PD, using opioid funding money. Thank you. Training is just about done. We're waiting for a couple more pieces to come in for the AEDs, but the LifePak training is pretty much complete. We're hoping within the next week to get those in service on the road. So again, thank you to the board. Great addition to the department. As I stated, the 30 LifePak 1000s AEDs, those are being divided up between FD and PD. We're just waiting for the pediatric pads to come in. And again, the incorporation of a new full-time training officer. The next one's a big one. Last year, we closed out with 3,356 emergency responses. That's 246 or 7.3% increase over 2023. Okay, so we had a study done when I first took over as chief it started in August and we finished it in November. It was a staffing / station study. And if you remember that, I know we presented to board, Sam, we did it as well. We talked about what the potential future growth is for call volume. And at that point there, the firm projected we'd only do about a 3.5% increase per year. We surpassed that. Obviously, last year we doubled that. Now, this year here, it could go opposite and we could go back down to a 3.5. We don't know. We're not, Deputy and I are not sounding any alarms. We just want to keep the board in the loop.
Yeah.
We had a substantial increase in call volume. We're definitely watching that very close. We'll need a couple of years data to see how that's going to play out, but 3.5% is kind of the number where we're.
So anecdotally, from maybe like the Curtis apartments, are you seeing any call volume increase when you start adding, 200, 300, residents to the town or all this home building? I know it's anecdotal because you haven't done the numbers, but I'm
Right.
just curious, are you seeing more call volume because of the population is increasing?
Definitely the population increase.
And the type of population?
Yes, yes, yep.
Okay.
That definitely plays a factor in, and as we look at it, as I'm gonna speak for the PD just real quick, like as well too, as our population goes up, so doesn't our call
Good,
volume.
yeah.
We're adding a lot more residents to the community. We still have some very big projects, one that's underway. We have a couple more that I know that we're working on. Those are all gonna continue to add increase in call volume. Out of that 3,356, 76.5% of that were ambulance or what we call medical calls. Some very serious motor vehicle accidents, and the other remaining 23.5% were fire calls, including mutual aid, house fires, car fires, fire alarm activations. That includes the rest of the gamut for everything. So the town is growing, Don, and so isn't the call volume.
We get the reports every month.
Yes.
And you see the increase, you see the ambulance calls and, I was interested in, I like the calls, but if you could look at maybe over the past couple of years.
So
Like
the
you were
problem
saying
with-
the trend, you probably may not have had that data,
Well,
right?
The problem is the current software system we're using is very finicky to get or very difficult to get that data out of. I will try to see if we can, it's outdated. The chief and I are talking about it. It's an old software system that
So you can't export numbers, huh?
very difficult.
Wow.
That's why we pretty much
Bad.
mainly do the reports every month.
Yeah, because it'd be great to see over the last couple of years, the big calls like that report we get.
Yeah.
What the increase is year over year is, and then we could run that and match another report like the increase in population. Or when we bring in a new large warehouse and Amazon and,
Yeah.
to look at the number of motor vehicle accidents, things along, be nice to be able to slice the data in that way.
I can tell you it's funny, the larger commercial properties are very low impact on us.
Yeah,
They
I'm
really
sure they
don't.
are.
Fire alarm activations, maybe once in a great while. We had to do an inspection at Amazon the other day, and the deputy, myself, and Lieutenant Altamati were talking. We can't remember the last time we even at Amazon's building for a call. Maybe a medical back during last summer. But overall, those larger occupancies we're not affected from the commercial piece.
Right.
It's more from the apartments, it's
Yeah.
more from the residential, it's more from our senior living. So those are things that we just are part of our everyday calls.
So it's kind of harp on that, I'm sorry.
No,
And so basically, these calls are 90+%, so I would say probably 95% is pretty much for our residents mainly, all residential, give or take.
Yes, I get what you're saying, Zahn. Yeah, I would say yes. Most of it is at the residential level versus the commercial response. I would say yes.
That's a
Yeah.
lot of calls.
Yeah. I know, I get exactly what you're both asking. Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So again, this is something, again, we're not sounding the alarm.
Yeah.
We just want to keep the board in the loop that we had a double of the call increase that was anticipated. Again, this year here, we could be back down to a 3.5% increase. We don't know yet. We're definitely gonna watch those numbers. Here's another part of Bellingham Fire that's the kind of an unsung hero, and that's our inspection division. They're actually very busy, and there's days that the deputy and I both go out as well as the training captain just to keep up and catch up with the inspections. And that's what we had done last Friday. We had a large commercial property to go in and do an inspection on. So we decided, the three of us, to go tackle it. And a couple hours later, we finished up what we needed to do, but the inspection division is nonstop. You know, we had 353 smoke and CO inspections, which are carbon monoxide. Oil tank installs and removals, 129. Fire alarms, which could mean mostly our commercial fire alarms where they go in and they inspect the system, review a new system, whatever has to be done. We had 19 of those. Residential propanes, we had 57. Energy storage is starting to climb. We had 7. Sprinkler, again, those will tie in with your fire alarms and your commercial properties. We had 42, and then flammable and combustible permits, we had 35. So the fire prevention division doesn't get a lot of kudos, but I want to make sure they're recognized because, again, they're a very busy part of our organization. In closing, was that even busy? Absolutely. In closing, Deputy, myself, we would like to thank the residents and the select board on the current and future support you've shown to the organization. We also want to give a really big shout out to all the men and women of the Bellingham Fire Department for what they do day in and day out for the residents of the town of Bellingham. At this point here, I would like to open it up for any questions or comments from the boards, the deputy or myself.
If I might, I just think it's good for the residents to see those numbers too. I think it's important for them to understand why we do and why we approve some of the things we do. And it's
Exactly.
real important they see those numbers up there.
Yep.
I mean, we understand it because we get reports every month.
Correct.
They don't, and I think this has really been good for them to see that.
I appreciate it. You know, I can give you another quick, we had another fire back, end of November, beginning of December, down in the south side of town. We had a burn victim. The 2 non-suppression ambulance personnel pulled right in behind the second engine, and they immediately started medical care and transported to a trauma center in Providence. Without those non-suppression medics, we wouldn't have had an ambulance there right away. So thank you again. I keep sounding the praise on the non-suppression medic program, but I feel it's something that's very beneficial. There's a lot of communities that are reaching out to both the deputy and myself, asking questions on how do we do this? How do we go about doing it? So I think it's something definitely the way for the future.
Oh, yeah. I do too.
So thank you.
Hey, on that topic, you know, it's, I would like to highlight it again, you know, it's, especially on my end, you know, I would like to express it again in front of everybody. How thankful I am, you know, it's, and one of the main reasons that I'm still sitting here today, talking to all of you, because of the service you provided. And the reason why I'm here, because I mean, you did what you did to bring me back, you know, it's back to my family as well as the whole community. And I'm so thankful for it. And I think, you know, it's you guys cannot hear that enough. And I'm so thankful. And I think everyone is in the community and is thankful as well. Appreciate it for everything you do
Everything.
every
You are-
day. Yeah, no, it's.
We are very blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. It really helps when did you still hear noise at a town meeting about the override, right?
Yes.
And oh gee, we just had an override, but they realized the importance of the override to get those 6 non-suppression medics
Correct.
on your team to help, and we all pushed that and it voted, it was approved. But you keep hearing it every time, oh, here we go again for more money, but they don't realize that we're investing the tax money back into the community to support our residents. Without that support, they may not be sitting here at this table,
Absolutely.
or maybe not sitting at their dinner table with their family. So to me, it's tough to put a dollar amount on the safety of our town. And it's, to me, it's, you know, we're not gonna spend wildly, of course. And you
I-
haven't asked us to spend wildly.
Nope,
But at the same time, we have to have the services, the equipment, the people
correct.
to make sure that we're all properly taken care of in this town.
You know, I think we mentioned it a few minutes ago. We talked about, you asked, you know, as the community's risen, so as our call volume, and again, police and fire are the first two that are gonna feel that as the numbers of our residents go up. We're feeling that pinch. We need to be able to provide us the best care that we can. And that's all we're trying to do is we want to enlighten everybody. And I'll close with my favorite line. I'm a coffee hound. Anybody has any questions, comments, concerns? Our doors are always open. Please, we'll meet someone for a cup of coffee anywhere. We're transparent. We have nothing to hide. So if anybody, please, any questions, come see us.
Thank you, Chief, very much.
Thank you very much for the time.
Thanks for your time. And, great presentation.
Yes, it was.
Nice slide work. Okay, so we moving along, a little behind the schedule, but I mean, it's, we're doing it. The next one is, presentation of housing, production plan, board of approval. Rob Lucy and, Gino Carlucci. Hey, Rob.
Good evening.
Why are you doing?
How are you, folks?
Good. Pleasure to have you both.
Thanks. So, good evening, everyone. So with me is our consultant Gino Carlucci, who helped put together the housing production plan. So if you're not familiar with the plan, it has to be updated. I think it's every 5 years. And that's part of to help us keep our safe harbor with the 40B projects. And really just, it's exactly as it states, just outlines ways that the town can produce more housing. As you all know, we have seen a lot of housing, a pretty big boom in town. And, you know, if you look back at the 2019 plan, there's actually a lot of areas that we're focused on that have either been permitted or focused on with ongoing permitting. So, you know, the town is definitely doing its part to produce housing. But with that, I know we had a lengthy conversation at the last planning board meeting, because this is approved jointly through the planning board and the select board. I don't know if you would like Gino to give some highlights or overview, you know, whatever works with this.
I think an overview would be the best way to
Yeah.
handle this.
Sure.
Yeah, because it's huge.
It's a big
It's a
plan.
big pot.
Yeah, and I have to say, you know, Gino did
I
a
think it's-
phenomenal
yeah.
job with,
I think if you can give us an overview of everything and then for the general public to hear it too, would be good too. Thank you.
Okay, that sounds perfect. So first of all, there is an executive summary at the beginning, and the highlights there are the primary housing needs for Bellingham. 3 were identified. Those were housing affordable to households earning less than 50,000 per year. Housing design that's affordable for seniors and disabled residents. And as well as more diverse housing styles, in particular rental housing of all types, moderately priced step-up homes appropriate for growing families, and smaller housing units as well. There were 6 goals. 5 of them are repeats from the 2019 plan. And I won't, some of them are, you know, like a couple of sentences long. I'll just kind of do the highlights. One is manage growth appropriately to maintain character and vitality of the town and avoid negative consequences like traffic and impact on services and the environment. 2, continue to offer a cohesive sense of place with a range of living environments. 3, protect natural and cultural resources. 4, promote healthy lifestyles that encourage walking, bicycling, and other activities. 5, provide diverse housing styles for a full range of income levels and a variety of household needs. You know, recognizing a growing population of seniors and smaller households and the need for housing to support Bellingham's businesses and workforce. And then the one that was added was to promote redevelopment of outdated properties to enhance livability in the community. Next is kind of a status of the town's compliance with 40B. And so, as you probably know, the town is required to, and it's for the public, general public too, is required to have 10% affordable housing out of its total housing units. So and it's based on the decennial census each 10 years. So the number that was determined in the 2020 census was 6,732. So 10% of that is 673. And currently on the state's subsidized housing inventory, which is what counts towards the affordable numbers, is 759. So you're currently well above it at 11.27%. So the number needed to stay in compliance through 2030 is 0. You're already above it. Next, if the pace of housing, the annual pace of housing that happened between 2010 and 2023, that was an average of 68 units a year. If that continues into 2030, it will result in a total of 7,208 units. And 10% of that is 721, you already have 759. So again, you're on track to stay above 10% through 2030. Okay, so now next were a series of housing strategies. First was to enhance local capacity to plan, advocate for, develop, and manage affordable housing units. And there's a whole bunch of sub issues on that, on each of these that I won't go through unless you want me to, or in response to questions. 2 was identify sites for creation of affordable housing through new developments, redevelopment, or preservation. And some of the sites identified for that were the Housing Authority owned property on Center Street, the property abutting Depot Court, Route 140 property abutting Curtis Apartments, the New England Country Club's active adult overlay district, and then abandoned or foreclosed homes and other distressed properties. And the third one was to update zoning to create opportunities for development of affordable housing and to encourage diversity in housing options. You already are well on your way to that between the MBTA communities bylaw and the accessory dwelling bylaw that's pending. You're on track to comply with that one. I can go on and identify some of the highlights in the body of the plan. So, notwithstanding the earlier conversation about the increasing population, 2 sources have done population projections that show a stable population through 2050, and one shows the Donahue Institute at UMass actually shows a decline. However, the senior population is expected to increase by 25% by 2030, indicating a need for senior housing. Conversely, school enrollment has been declining and projected to continue to decline. The percentage of households with persons living alone is increasing. And then the median household income in Bellingham in 2022 was about 116,000, which is roughly equal to Norfolk County as a whole, but well above the state. And among the surrounding communities, Bellingham's median income ranks 6 out of 10. On the economic and employment profile, most residents work in or near Boston or nearby towns like Framingham, Milford, and Franklin. By far, retail trade is the largest employment sector, followed by transportation and warehousing. About 43% of the jobs in Bellingham are in industries where the average wage is below 50,000. And 90% of the jobs have wages below 82,000. As far as housing costs, Bellingham's relatively affordable compared to Norfolk County as a whole, and especially compared to the Boston region as a whole. Renting an apartment in Bellingham is on par with the monthly housing costs of a mortgage. However, without the significant down payment and closing costs associated with purchasing a home. And just a kind of a snapshot, in September of 2024, Zillow showed houses for sale, and the range was from 360,000 for a 2-bedroom ranch to 1.25 million for a 4-bedroom colonial. As far as housing inventory, one thing I noticed was that in terms of value per unit, the types of housing with the lowest value per unit, therefore, in my opinion, opportunity for naturally affordable housing as opposed to subsidized housing, were 3-family and small apartment buildings with 4 to 8 units. And on affordability, and these are very interesting statistics, but more than half of Bellingham's renters and a quarter of homeowners are paying more for housing than what's considered affordable. And what's considered affordable is that no more than 30% of your income goes to housing. So more than half of renters and a quarter of homeowners are paying more than 30% of their income. And in fact, 30% of renters are paying more than half their income for rents. Only less than 2% of Bellingham's housing stock is affordable to households earning less than 75,000. That doesn't mean they don't live in those units, but they're paying more than 30%. So what's considered affordable? And what are the income eligibility guidelines? So determining affordability and determining that 30%, what is supplied against, unfortunately, is based on the earnings of the Boston, Cambridge, Quincy, Mass metro area, which is higher than it is locally. So, so the median family income of that region is just under 150,000. So to qualify for affordable housing, subsidized affordable housing for a family of 4, what's considered low income at the 80% level is an income of 130,000. Very low income is 81,000, and extremely low income is, if I can read that, is like 48,000. And just, well, two last things to wrap up. I understand that one of the things that is being considered for taking action towards affordable housing is the Community Preservation Act. And just right now, over 200 towns, not over, 200 towns already have CPA. And all the abutting towns to Bellingham, except Blackstone and Milford, already have it. And the Community Preservation Act allows a tax on a surcharge on property tax of up to 3%. It's not required to be 3%. But just to give a rough figure, I did a calculation. If if a rate of 1.5% were adopted, and as is typical, the first $100,000 of valuation is exempt from that, that would generate about $368,000 per year for CPA purposes, which is not just housing, it also can be used for open space, preservation and recreation. And you can't really see this from here, but in the report is this table which or chart which shows the level needed for how different types of housing compared to the wages at the different industry sectors. And that's all to my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Martinez?
So going back very early on in the presentation, I'm just curious. There was a comment that you made, I'm just trying to pull it back up because I lost my spot, I apologize. Promote redevelopment of outdated properties to enhance livability in the community. So are you referring to homes that have been abandoned or that the bank zone? Or I'm just curious, what do you mean by outdated properties? And how would you go about promoting that redevelopment? I'm not sure I understand that point.
Yeah, I can take that, because I know that was actually one of the items that I wanted included in the housing production plan.
Mhm.
So, as you know, there's a few areas in town that have actually, they've seen a lot of negative publicity. I can think of 3 specific houses on Hartford Ave, for example, that it would be nice if we could focus on those properties and rather than have new development in areas that, you know, are wooded open space currently, if we could promote housing or really any development in those areas. That was the purpose of that clause. One thing to note as well, as I mentioned, there's been a lot of development in Bellingham. I firmly believe that we're getting towards the end of this massive development boom because we're really not going to be seeing a lot of these raw properties that are really able to be developed. Now we're running into areas that have poor soil conditions, floodplains, lots of wetlands, jurisdictional areas, what have you. So, you know, if the plan is to promote housing, or really development in general, it's the redevelopment that we need to focus on. And I think that in order to do that, you know, it's going to be through zoning exercises, I think, and focusing on areas in town that we can add on. And I believe that if there are areas that need attention, those are the areas that we should focus on, because why are we going to implement zoning changes in areas that are working? So that was the purpose of that statement.
And the other question, you did a calculation on the Community Preservation Act, because 368,000, that's Bellingham's country. Doesn't the state match that if you're part of the
Correct.
program? So it's not just the 368, it's our 368 plus the state's 368.
Yes,
Correct.
and I just applied that to the housing stock, not to commercial properties.
Right.
So it could be,
It could be a little much more. No, I just want to make sure that the audience was clear that, you know, yes, taxes may go up if we put forth the Community Preservation Act. But at the same time, the state is going to match those funds, and that would be for a variety, like parks and recreation, purchasing properties for green space, whatever that might be. I'm not going to get into, this isn't a CPA discussion, but I just wanted the audience to be aware.
and also the average increase for the median house in Bellingham would be $59
Yeah.
a year, so.
Yeah, it's exactly. Thank you.
So I have, a question. So I want to go back to that a little bit though, to what we were talking about, Rob. So if we have some properties in town, say abandoned properties, can we do something to make them viable for affordable housing?
If I'm not mistaken, which Tim, you might actually be able to answer this. I know, so with certain developments, we have an inclusionary housing clause where if you're doing a certain amount of housing for like a subdivision, you're required to do a 10% inclusionary. And I do recall that at least with one development that we had, they were trying to utilize an off-site inclusionary housing.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, it was Bungay Brook.
Right, right.
And they looked at a couple avenues. One was to utilize abandoned property, which I believe you can do it. I'm not entirely certain how. If there's a way to do it, that's great. I mean, there's other ways too. Basically, it's creating an off-site inclusionary housing development, which is another option, but Tim, do you?
So several developers did take that avenue, back, this is probably like, 3 or 4 years ago. But we were trying to keep them to hold it to in the subdivision.
Yeah.
In the project. So that's Bungay Brook, we kind of took that, planning board said, let's try to keep it within the project. So they kind of wanted to switch a little bit, but several of them, did off-site housing. Lobusa did a couple, another project off Hickson Street, that little loop road there. He did an inclusionary unit down off of Moody Street. So one of them was a rehab of an existing one, and one was a brand new unit. That was just a smaller unit that, served that purpose.
I think the reason I'm asking this is because if we had a way to do that, that we could take properties that are abandoned or really need to be rehabbed, we could put it into the housing authorities' hands, so it would be affordable, is what I'm saying, if we could make that with the planning board. So then that way, because we need more properties for the housing authority, we need more housing, affordable housing.
So we don't have a lot of abandoned. We
No.
have foreclosed properties, and over the last, probably within the last 10 years, we had a lot more, but now it's really down to a small number, and those get turned over really quickly. The banks are on it, they get the foreclosures completed, and then they put them up for auction, so they really don't sit around a lot, but we do have a bylaw in town that makes them register these units. So and that ensures that they take care of them during that process.
Yeah,
But
right.
we really do, our numbers have gone way down on
Yeah.
abandoned foreclosed.
I think I'm just looking for an alternative to be able to put, more affordable housing within the housing authorities' numbers, I was reading what they had,
Yeah.
and
I
that's
think-
what we need.
Yeah, and I know the next item on the agenda actually is gonna be focusing on some of these, which I can speak a little bit more about.
Yeah,
It was more of a developer induced hurdle that they put on themselves for off-site inclusionary housing. I could speak to it after, but
Yeah.
I think it's definitely advantageous, and,
I
the
think
planning
it
board has been very open to it in the past, so.
Great, thank you.
okay,
This
thanks.
is fantastic.
Something like that?
So I'm gonna ask a mechanics question. As we move forward, we know that school related, as our numbers drop with school age children, is there a mechanism in place as you move forward in the next X amount of years, if that should increase? Do you have a way to keep track of? Or is there a way to, I guess, to be aware that those numbers are starting to decline with more affordable housing, with more of an advantageous town, and things that we're doing to make it welcoming? And we start getting some of these smaller families, is there a mechanism in place to keep track of those school age kids that might be moving in?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So the funny thing is with just how things change over time, if you look at our zoning bylaws currently, we do have, it's a special permit to allow for a larger residential subdivision. And there's really clauses in there that really try to limit the bedroom count in the units, because the whole purpose of those was, you go back 15, 20 years ago, the main concern was if we have a subdivision in town, it's gonna overrun our school system with all these kids if it's a 3-bedroom, a 4-bedroom house. Now we fast forward to today where we have, it's really dwindling admissions in our schools. And a matter of fact, Gino, I believe in this, you actually state about the bedroom count, how it could really affect, like, our current zoning.
Oh,
can
absolutely.
affect.
I mean,
So-
absolutely, but
And I think that's where, the zoning bylaws, really, we can change to allow 3 or 4 bedrooms rather than, well, we already kind of did change our zoning because we were really getting mostly 2-bedroom townhouses. which cater more to the 55+ community. So, I think there's already been some work to try and allow more families to come into town. Really, the only thing that I think we could change would be the special permit for the major residential developments.
Cause I'd love to see more kids come.
Yeah.
I'd love to see our numbers start to climb.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of things that we can offer.
Yeah.
We're doing so much on that school side that I'd like to see it partner with.
Yeah.
You know, the housing end of things, so,
Absolutely.
but thank you for educating me.
I got no questions.
No, thank you. Very thorough. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you, Gino. I appreciate
well,
it.
what we're asking for is a vote to approve this, so we can submit it to the state. It has to be approved, as Robin said, to the planning, by the planning board and the select board.
No, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the housing production plan that Gino presented.
Second.
You got first, we got second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
You're all set, Gino.
Thank you. very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's why it says draft, correct?
Yeah. Now I'll go ahead and submit it to the state.
And then once it's approved, we'll get a final
Yes.
without the draft watermark.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Thanks. Rob, you staying for the next one too?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay. So the next one is on the agenda, housing discussion with Housing Authority Executive Director. And Anthea. Well, yeah, you doing?
Good evening.
Good evening. Good to have you.
My name's Ed Pelletier. I'm the Executive Director of the Bellingham Housing Authority. We're here tonight because we're trying to find some way or some means to, like everybody was talking about tonight, promote more housing, but we're looking more for the elderly aspect of it. Right now, Bellingham has, 2 developments. We only house 120 people out of 2 complexes.
And they're not necessarily handicap accessible.
I was getting there, but, yeah. So out of the 120, only half of them are on first floors. Which makes it very difficult to, people that are waiting for first floors. It very seldom first floors come about, because what happens is people move in, they have priority to a first floor because of already living within the housing authority. And, I can tell you that out of the housing authority, I'm just gonna go through, like, right now through the whole state, through the housing authority in Bellingham, we have almost 7,500 applicants. We have 78 local veterans, 78 local elderly, non-elderly, and, we have 3 veterans. Those get priority through the housing authority, which is regulated by the state. When they apply to a CHAMP application. The application goes to, they did this centralized numbering system where a company is called ASG. Everybody gets a number, they get put on a list. Sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years for somebody elderly to get into the housing. And a lot of times we hear a lot of negative things from the elderly about, well, I won't be around that long and stuff like that. And unfortunately, the elderly don't know, they wait till they're 80 years old and then they say, well, I want to go live at one of the housings, but they'll never get into the housing because most of the time it's a 2 to 3 year wait. I can tell you that, through the state, it's, right now it's homeless first. Veterans come veterans and Bellingham veterans come second. Veterans are third, Bellingham residents are fourth. That's regulated by the state. And, so with that being said, I heard this gentleman speaking earlier, he brought up the housing property on Center Street, which we do own, which we were approached by the gentleman from Bungie Brook to build on that property. And which apparently got denied or whatever, because he was gonna build a few houses for the housing authority on that property. So I've been reaching out to the state, which is DHCD, Department of Housing and Community Development. And one of the biggest things that they are saying is either we turn over the property to a nonprofit developer, which we wouldn't be able to control who lives there. They would. And that would take it right out of the housing's hands. The other thing, what the state also says is that our first step is to reach out to the town to see if there's any funding to develop on the property that we own on Center Street. The property on Center Street is just under 4 acres. What happens is, whatever the funding we could get from the town, we would also, the state would match, or in some instances would just cover the rest of the costs. So my question also is there funding in the town of Bellingham that could help either build or somehow find more housing for the elderly? I don't know how much everybody knows, but Depot Court was built in 1969. Rentham Manor was built in 1975. They really haven't done anything else since then, you know, to house the elderly, who definitely are struggling all the time. So, and we get phone calls, the phones never stop ringing in the office, never stop ringing. They're always looking for help. We give them as much help as we can, but the end result is we can't house them because we don't have the housing to house them. So that's why we're here tonight. We're trying to see what we can get for funding, if there is any. This is our first step into looking into trying to find funding to have that land developed. You know, the housing authority has owned that land since around 1990.
Yeah, they've had it a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
And it's never been developed, it's just been sitting there. So it's like, we're keeping this property, but we're not doing anything with it,
Right.
and haven't done anything with it.
And I guess, why haven't you done anything with it in all these years? I'm just trying to understand and learn. It's not challenging.
Yeah.
It's a question I'm asking, because you own the land,
Right,
but the housing authority doesn't have any funding to do anything with it.
right.
So why,
Exactly.
so why do you have the land?
It was donated by the Ukraine Society or something back in the
Okay.
90s.
Okay.
So,
So do you know if there's any grants available out there that could actually pay for a feasibility study to understand what we could actually, as a town, do on that property as far as how many units, two-story, three-story with elevator, all that kind of stuff that you would need today?
right.
Do you know if there are any grants out there
I
available?
don't know of any, but that's why I'm also here, because I'm reaching out to the town and I'm reaching out to the state.
I think that's a question, Dennis, that's a question that I put to you is, do we have something, can we find out if there's a feasibility grant that we could do a study for that property to find out what could be on it? And second of all is I definitely don't want to put it in the state's hands or a nonprofit's hands. I would like it to stay within the housing authority's hands and the towns. We certainly don't want to give it away. And we've talked about this before, Den, this property.
Yeah. I think what might be a good follow-up to this is we should probably, I can reach out and talk with Ed and about getting someone from the Executive Office of Living Communities to join us for a meeting and kind of go over what other communities have done, because keep in mind those units that were developed, most of them were Rentham Manor and Depot Court were developed with federal money when they were built. So yeah, I think we could bring them in, find out, or have them zoom in and have a conversation to find out what's out there. Ed, you and I can talk about who probably the best person would be to join us for a meeting.
Sure.
I would like to be in on that meeting too, Jen,
Well, we
please.
could have them appear before the select
Oh,
board.
that would be good.
Yeah, attend the select board meeting, so we can have a conversation about, process and how it's worked elsewhere.
Right.
And the gentleman that I reached out to from DHCD is Matt Martin, And the first step, what he said was to see if there's any funding that, could come from the town. And then he said he would be willing to set up a meeting. So,
Well, good, then let's do it. Let's do
And,
it.
I have a question. What's the exact number, the acreage wise on
Yeah.
that property? Because I heard it was 7 acres. Now you just said that 4.5
You said
acres.
4, I heard 7 too.
yeah, I don't think it was 7, it was just,
What's the number? Do
I
we know
think
the
it's just
exact-
under 4 acres.
No, so the number that I found today was just under 5.5
Oh,
for
okay.
that triangular parcel.
Right,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
So a little bit more than 4.
yeah.
I think it's, the first thing what we need to do, I kind of agree with Mr. Martinez, let's look at it, if we can find any grants to do, the study. And then, we'll get the ball rolling on that. To be honest with you, I mean, if the housing had the control of this property since 1990s.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Martinez, I think this is way overdue, there is no reason we've been sitting on this, that we should get the ball rolling, any way it's possible, let's take the first step, look into the study. And then, the dentist, he said, he will help you connect with some people, and then, we'll take it from there, and then we'll get the ball rolling, I think it's way overdue,
Okay.
it's way overdue.
This is Jim Fitzpatrick. He sits on the board at the housing. I don't know if he has anything else to add.
Actually, in the past, from what I understand, there have been attempts to develop that. But all of a sudden, we get the NIMBY problem. Can't put it in my backyard. We're in the same problem over at the school off of Hickson Street. Oh, we don't want the fire trucks coming in there. It's too late at night and too much noise, too disturbing. It's gonna be disturbing anywhere you go, according to neighbors.
Yeah.
Affordable housing is a joke. It does not exist. So you can get a 20 or 30 or 40% discount on a $700,000 house. Who the hell can afford it? There isn't anybody at Rentham or Depot Court right now that can afford it. And there's probably, God knows, there's about 3,500 seniors in town. I bet you half of them couldn't afford affordable housing. The governor just came up with this big thing, oh, we've got affordable housing, it's an issue. 2 years from now, it's gonna be an issue when we have an election. 4 years from now, we're gonna have it as an issue, but you know what? It's never gonna be done. And anybody sitting here thinking it's gonna be done is kidding themselves. Because we're gonna get all tied up in all of the nonsense. We had somebody wanting to build for free. And it's not the planning board's fault. It's the regulations. So unfortunately, we can't sit here and pretend we're gonna do something. We need more publicity about this. People have to know what the issue is, not sit around patting themselves on the back saying, gee, housing's an issue. No kidding.
I mean, if we can start with the study first, and then I think that will give us a good idea. I think the Rob wanted to add something. Rob, you wanna add something?
Oh, I was gonna say, I know Jim just kind of alluded to it with previous potential development for the site. It was actually the developer for the Bungay Brook townhouses was looking to, at this property, to get some off-site inclusionary housing. The issue was, they came in and the planning board was very open to it. They really enjoyed, I was on the planning board at the time. We all really liked the idea. The issue was with the inclusionary housing, the board has to be extremely careful on making sure that if construction begins, or if they allow construction to begin, the inclusionary housing special permit needs to be in place. Because what might happen, not saying that this is what this developer would do, but what has happened in the past is developers would build their development, the 10% inclusionary housing would be, they would wait to develop that at the end. All of a sudden bonds release, they're out of the subdivision and now the town is wondering where the inclusionary housing is gonna come into play. So unfortunately, in this case, the developer, he was working with the planning board, working with the housing authority. Time was of the essence to get the project going. Came in with an application, but there was just not enough time for the board and really the state to approve the application before he wanted to commence construction. So that's why it didn't really come to fruition with this property. I just wanted to put that into context.
Mr. Martin?
Yeah, there was no argument with that. My problem is, we had free land, we had somebody wanting to build on it, and everybody said it's a good idea. Guess what? We still have free land, but no one's been able to do anything.
So we met and we're here tonight because I've asked to come back. We gotta start somewhere, so I can't apologize for the
I don't
past,
want to apologize.
right? So what
Yesterday's
we,
over.
but we want to be productive and move forward, but I do have a couple of questions based on what you said, Mr. Pelletier. And that is, I know the numbers because Mr. Fitzpatrick gave me those numbers, and there's 70-odd residents in Bellingham. You also said that the first priority goes to the homeless. So what I want to be able to figure out is if we were to be able to do something, how do we make sure that the 70+ residents in Bellingham get priority over some homeless people that may be in South Boston or maybe somewhere else in the western part of the state? Now, I'm sorry that they're homeless but I feel for them. But my priority is to make sure that we provide affordable housing for our residents in this town. So I want, as we talk to the Department of Housing, we want to ask that question. And the second thing I want to bring up, it just as a point of view. So we heard earlier tonight about our shortage in housing. We heard that, and I just heard you say it, I don't know if everybody heard it, but seniors are looking to sell their homes because they can't afford to live in their homes. Because we know taxes, maintenance, upkeep, and I've said this on this board before. There's a natural evolution of churn in real estate. So we want to get young, new families into the town that can afford a $400,000 or $500,000 ranch maybe somewhere. Well, guess what? If we have housing for a senior that they can sell their home, move into a residence like we're describing, not affordable. We already have our 40B. We're not going after that market, but where they can live. Then we're naturally going to have real estate churn in this town. And then people can come in, if they want to update the home, invest some money into it. Instead of them coming in and wanting to spend $750,000 or $900,000 for a home, they really can't afford some 28-year-old or 30-year-old couple with a kid on the way, or maybe has one child. That's the type of housing this town needs. We need to be able to provide housing. Then hopefully that'll fill our schools and all the things that we have to offer from the schools. But we have to start somewhere. There has to be this churn. But in order to get the churn, we have to have some place for these seniors to go to. Exactly. And I guess that's the position or the point of view that I have. And however we can talk to the state or federal to make that happen. I know you're frustrated. We're equally frustrated, but we got to start somewhere. So let's start productive conversations now. And forget about what we haven't done in the past.
That's right.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
didn't bring up the past. I'm only bringing up,
We can't.
I'm
It's-
bringing up
Who
what
knows
can
the
we
world's
do to
like
move
tonight?
forward
Yeah,
now?
I don't know, which is what we talked about at the senior center. But there was a woman that came and she introduced herself, and that's where we started talking about this. Dennis, I don't recall her name. We were at the senior center, before the holidays, and she was there, and she's new to the position. Is she someone that can help us? Do you remember, Kenny?
She was the undersecretary for elder affairs, so at the
Yes, she
state
was.
level, so
Yeah.
that's who that was, so we could
Is that
certainly.
someone we can reach out to help us?
I don't know,
No?
I
Okay.
think we start with the gentleman that Ed mentioned and
Matt,
maybe have a
yeah.
conversation
Matt
there
Martin?
to find out how this housing's created, because the big rub, Don, you're absolutely right. The big rub is Bellingham residents are fourth in line for this housing.
That really irritates me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
And if
created-
our hands are tied, I can understand why boards may say, why are we putting in all this effort? We can't even help out our own residents.
Yeah, no, I hear
It's
that.
frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
For you, for.
Very much so.
residents. Okay.
Like I said, we have the Bellingham residents coming in every day, calling every day. Where am I on the list? How can I get in?
Okay.
So Dennis, what you're gonna do is, will you set up a meeting for us for one of our next meetings where we can figure out what's on an agenda? Where Ed
Absolutely.
and they can all come at the same
Yeah,
time?
Ed and I will connect and we'll talk about next steps. So we'll have that conversation and look to schedule something before the board.
Good,
Okay,
and then we'll
thanks,
get the
Ken.
ball rolling. All right.
Yeah,
I appreciate
good.
it.
Thank you
Thank
both
you.
very much
Thank
for
you.
Thank
coming.
you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do too. I do, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks, have a good night. So the next one is on the agenda, street light request, 215 Depot Street.
We had a thing from Sergeant Padula.
Yep, and then actually we
Confirming it.
discussed it at the TAC, which is the
Yep.
Traffic Advisory Committee. It's been recommended by the committee.
So I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
We got first, we got second. We're gonna have fun. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. And that's been approved. The second one is Verizon Site Access Agreement, Grove Street Standpipe Antenna.
This is Dennis, this is pretty standard, isn't it? The same. as
Yeah,
the others
Jesse's-
that have
Jesse's-
put out?
Jesse's here to talk on.
Jesse's online.
There you go, Jesse.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Jesse.
Hey, good evening,
Hi,
everyone.
Jess.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, so as mentioned, this is a pretty standard process. The RFQ for the lease of the area on our standpipe had gone on at the end of 23, actually. Verizon Wireless did submit the most advantageous bid for that. This is kind of next step of the process. I know it's a little ways down the road. We were warned early on that this is kind of a lengthy process. So essentially, this agreement allows Verizon access to the site to do some more preliminary investigation, and they'd have 60 days to either retract their offer or move forward with the next steps. So this essentially gives them that access for further inspections and so on and so forth. So again, very customary, very standard process here, but it is something that they do require before they go ahead and invest all that money in antennas and space on our stand tanks rather.
Do we have a motion for this?
I'll make a motion to approve the site access agreement for the Cellco partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless.
Second.
We got first, we got second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Perfect.
Thanks.
The next one. Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks, Jess.
Vote on abatements, but,
You got my email today, so
Yes.
this is an abatement.
Yep.
For a resident that had a leak in their pipe. And Barbara has calculated the abatement and it needs the board's approval.
So moved.
Has this leak been confirmed?
Yes.
Yes.
Has it been repaired?
So,
Need a second.
Second.
I'll second.
You.
Yeah, I got a second that.
Okay.
Okay, we got first, we got second. Any questions regarding this abatement? No?
For $503.61.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Perfect, that's been approved.
Thank you.
Next one is vote on ARPA funds. I think this is very,
Dennis, these were funds that were left over from other projects, correct?
Yeah, they were surplus funds and the IT supplies, really, it's upgrading some servers and some projects that were on our capital list with IT. And the 91,000 for the portable radios were essentially paying down some of our obligation on the funds that were approved at the last town meeting for those portable radios. So it was use it or lose it by December 31st, so we had to allocate it to projects that we could have a commitment on, or we had already expended funds on. So that's why they were put in there. Had we not gone ahead and identified them prior to December 31st, we would have had to turn the money back into the county. So.
I just reread the motion.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the projects as listed herein with said expenditures to be under the direction of the parties noted. $58,562.95 ARPA and EU funds, IT supplies, spending authority, MIS. $91,797.02 ARPA and EU funds, fire portable radios, spending authority, fire.
Second.
Got first, we got second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Annual license renewals, is that for the?
These are for, any license renewals that came in after our December meeting, before the 31st. Those, honestly, it was just, 6 bulk storage.
Okay.
That was it. Everything else has been renewed.
I'll make a motion to approve the renewals of the bulk storage permit at 156 Mechanic Street, 164 Mechanic Street, 170 Mechanic Street, 460, 468, 470 Hartford Ave, and 1060 Pulaski Boulevard.
And then also 37 South Maple Street came in after I gave you your sheet on Friday.
37 South Maple Street.
A second?
We got first, we got second. All in favor, say aye.
And then
Aye.
I just need you guys to sign the licenses before you
Okay.
leave tonight.
Ayes have it. Perfect, thank you very much. The next one is open spring annual town meeting warrant.
Yeah, we're gonna open the warrant for the town meeting in May and have it closed February 28th, which is a Friday.
Okay.
It needs to be posted mid-March. So this gives time for KP Law to do their edits and make our changes.
So moved.
Okay.
So we got first, we got second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the January 6th meeting minutes.
Any second?
Second, Jen.
Okay. We got second, we got first, we got second. All in favor, say aye. Ayes have it. Perfect. Any old business? I don't. No? The new business, I was looking at it, but I know the Mike Hennessy was gonna talk
Yeah,
about it.
so we're just gonna pass over.
We're gonna pass over and then we'll discuss that on the next, meeting. So Dennis, fire and police contract.
You've got the memorandums for the
Yes.
fire and the police. We
Yeah.
discussed them in an executive session and very good outcomes, some good things for the fire and police and some good things, good language that the police and fire administration felt strongly about. So I think a real good outcome, and it's not too often that we settle contracts 4 or 5 months before the end of the contract period. So great job with the administration and the rank and file and police and fire, and it was a real cooperative effort. It does require a vote to adopt the memorandums as presented, one for the police and one for the fire.
I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement between the town of Bellingham and the Bellingham Permanent Firefighters Association Local 2071 IAFF FLCIO.
Second?
We got first, we got second.
I will choose myself.
Perfect. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes. Ayes have it. Thank you.
And then we need one for the police.
One for the police.
Yeah, I would clear them separately, but I need to.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement for successor CBA between the town of Bellingham and the Bellingham Police Association.
We have second.
Second, Jen.
Perfect. We got first, we got second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it.
And I'll have those for you to sign the right hand.
Okay. Perfect. And I think this will,
That we can go into executive
yes,
session.
so this will, lead our agenda and then,
Does Dennis have anything else for his report? though?
oh yeah, Dennis, anything else? I'm sorry.
I'll be real quick. We got a letter today. Or I don't know if Rob is still in the audience, but great job. We had our MBTA communities interim confirmation of our plan. So the executive office sent a letter in saying that we're in compliance with our bylaws. So that was great job by Rob and Liz Bartholet and the committee that worked on that, everyone that worked on that. So that was nice. Just a real quick, the culvert update on Rentham Road. Not everyone drives the east end of Rentham Road, but we have half of the road blocked off and half for several months. Jesse continues to work on that, on the design of that. Culvert repair. It's not that we're dragging our feet. I know some of the residents were concerned that it was kind of taking a back step, but it's not. The design's well underway, and once we have a design, we'll go out to bid and we'll look to get the funds to open Rentham Road up in 2 lanes at that particular point once again. So that work is happening. Governor's budget came out, no surprise. It was close to level funded. I think we were in the red about $50,000, a little bit less than less than level funded, but pretty close. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Good job by the DPW, the first snow event of the year. And fortunately, it was on a holiday, and evening came in the evening. They didn't call out the private contractors, handle themselves, and I think they did a good job. And we have a lot of new employees at the DPW, so they're learning the ropes. And I know they were very responsive when anybody called to say, "Hey, you missed my street." But that's all that I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Dennis. And this will fulfill our agenda. The next one is going to be motion to hold executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the public body. The property is located on Maple Street.
Can I have a roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll close it.
can be up to the board.
All right, we're good.
My mistake. We need to make a motion, because I know Mike did the last time, but he was with us the last time to help us.
Can I make a motion, Tim and Rob to stay for the executive session?
Second?
We got first, we got second. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah,
Aye.
All right, I'm gonna shut off,
And
Dennis, we're gonna restart the executive.
Sounds good.
did you turn off?
I'm doing that right now.